Alrighty, welcome to Law and Life with Judge Bill Brandt. Today is our final episode, and we're going to be discussing seizing the opportunity with the youth of 2025 and what that looks like. Just to recap our last episode, we talked about rights, privacy, and the internet. And so at the end of this episode, we'll answer a few questions, just going back to that topic. But yeah, let's set up today's focus. Go ahead, Judge.
Hello, Kayla. Hope you're well and had a wonderful intervening week. I'm sure happy to be here. The topic, I guess we should do the quick recap first, and then we'll talk about seizing the opportunity of youth. Basically, of course, last time we talked about rights, privacy, and the internet. What I'd like people to understand about rights is there's two types of rights. One are rights that are inherent, the right to life, the right to freedom, the right to own your property, the right to be left alone, the right to have freedom of conscience and speak your mind. And those are just inherent, and the government exists to protect those. But other rights are given to you in an agreement that you have a right to your apartment as long as you pay the rent, or you have a right to a jury in a certain kind of trial. Okay, and then other things are negotiated rights that you may have a claim to a right, but you just it's not absolute. Mm-hmm. And so that's an important distinction. And the other thing about rights is you must protect your rights by making sure that if someone infringes upon them, I'm thinking fences and property lines. Good fences make good neighbors, so you want to have a good fence line and protect your property. And that has to do with having a roommate, having your furniture in the apartment, and they trash the furniture because they just don't care, and you don't enforce your rights. The first time they bring a pizza to the couch and want to drip pizza on the couch, you got to say, don't do that, and enforce it. As far as privacy is concerned, we had a big focus on information on the internet. And the real simple answer is when you use your devices, you've given a license to the people who either are your internet service provider or one of the apps that you're using. You've basically given them permission to use all that in whatever way they want, typically in an aggregate or metadata way, okay? And then as far as you posting your personal things on the internet, once you put it on the internet, you've published it. Yeah. You don't have a right to make that private anymore. So there is a tort. I think there are 3 intrusion of privacy torts, and you can enforce those, but you have to have kept it private, right?
Yeah.
And then and the internet is permanent, so don't put stuff on the internet if you don't want it showing up in a job, in an interview, or you're looking for a job. 5 years from now, you're looking for a professional job. You've got maybe you've got a law degree, or you're a CPA, or you're going to med school or something, and this is on the internet and it's not professional. Don't put that stuff on the internet.
Yeah.
There's too much of that. So anyway,
absolutely.
So segueing into our episode today, I want to talk about the opportunities that are going to present themselves to the youth of our country over the next 5, 10, 15 years. And I'm specifically talking to the high school graduating class of 2025, particularly to those in that class whose parents are not wealthy or upper middle class people. I'm talking to working class people. I'm talking to the middle class people whose parents did not save a ton of money to put you through college or let you ride for a few years. That's going to happen with some people, and maybe they've got enough of a cushion to handle that. But the big opportunities are coming for the people who will seize them. So anyway,
Absolutely. Yeah. Okay, so kind of segueing into that, do you think that youth should go to college in 2025? What is your thought process on that?
Well, that is going to be a decision that the individual makes, and they need to. But the factors that they need to consider are very simple. What's the motivation to go to college? And if the motivation is generalized as I just want to make more money or be more successful, well, a skilled tradesman can make a very good living in America, and we're going to be building more stuff, and you're going to see skilled trades in great demand.
Absolutely.
So if it's a generalized desire to make more money, you need to consider the cost of your college. You're going to consider the weight of that student loan debt, which you're going to carry around forever. I don't know if people know this, but student loan debt cannot be discharged in bankruptcy. So you're carrying that debt forever till you pay it off.
Until you pay it off, yeah.
And I knew law school. Some of my law school professors in their 40s hadn't paid their student loans off. And that it's just a chain. It's an anchor that's anchoring you. Now, if you have the money to go to college, you might think, oh, I'll just spend this money to go to college. But wait a second, college it's a boatload of dough. Let's say you can do it for $100,000, which is a lot of money. You're probably not working full time during those 4 years, so you've given up that income. And you've got to support yourself somehow. So you're working odd and end jobs to just keep you going and make sure you don't spend more than your $100,000. You don't go into any debt. Well, if you do that, you've lost. This is a term that I'm going to use again. It's called opportunity cost. The cost of that opportunity is something. The cost of giving up that $100,000 to pay to the tuition, that's actually, what can you make on that? Can you make any money on that? You could probably make 3 or 4 or 5, 6% on that. Okay, in 4 years, I think 4% on $100,000 would be close to $40,000.
Wow.
Okay, 30, some odd. It's not trivial.
Wow.
And we're going to talk a little bit more about time as an asset. Young people have an asset that old people don't have. I'm a pretty successful person. I've had some really good jobs, and I kept one wife, and I was lucky with a lot of things, and so I have some assets, but I don't have time. I'm 70. Am I going to be here in 30 years? Unlikely. Okay, so young people have this huge asset called time, but you're going to spend your time doing something. Is that thing going to be useful? Is that thing going to be valuable? So the question, as you spend 4 years and perhaps a great sum of money or incur a great debt, the question is, am I getting the best bang for this buck of time and money or debt?
Yeah.
And another way to look at that is, am I really an academically oriented person? Have I always I love numbers. I like sitting in an office with no windows doing numbers. I'm just cut out to be a CPA or an actuary. Well, if that's the case, you got to go to college, okay? Yeah, but if you just kind of like numbers and you're good at it, maybe you should be a bookkeeper and not be a professional. You know what I mean?
Well, 100% agree with you, but I think that we've been conditioned to believe like that's the structure. You go to high school, then you go to college, and that's just kind of going back to how they've conditioned us to be consumers. I think it's the same way with college. It's a business deal. It's the government has set it up to where, okay, this is what you do, and then your next step is college. And I think that we kind of have to deconstruct that way of thinking.
I completely agree.
Now you go to a job and now everyone has a bachelor's degree. It's not special anymore.
Well,
whereas it was 15 years ago.
I think the percent of the U.S. population that has a bachelor's degree is about 35 or 38%.
That's so high. It's oversaturated.
Which is very high.
Yeah.
And many of the bachelor's degrees do not convey. First of all, let's back up and look at what is a college degree. What has it traditionally been? What was it 100 years ago? What was it 200 years ago? A college degree was not job training. A college degree was an education. And education used to mean an understanding of history, okay, because history is the best guide to human nature.
Yeah, absolutely.
And human nature doesn't change, okay? And so if you want to know how the world works and you want to know, great literature, which is, once again, great literature is about human nature and history, and it's about human nature. And, of course, you want to know geography, and there's some, maybe you want to learn a foreign language. That's all education, okay? Yeah. But if you're looking at college as a job path, then you're either going to be some kind of manager, okay, maybe a middle manager, which, by the way, is a disappearing class because middle management is something that AI can do, okay? But AI can't install an HVAC system.
That's so true.
Or
plumbing.
Or do plumbing. I think
plumbers make a lot of money.
Who said plumbers have saved more lives than all the physicians in history? Have you heard this? Did I say this once?
No.
Okay. Plumbers have saved more. You want to save lives? Be a plumber. Okay. And I mean that in all seriousness. So if you're academically oriented, great. Go to college and be a professional. But if you're not, you only go to college if you're driven to achieve that certain professional or academic required thing. A number of people are very successful engineers, software engineers, and that kind of thing by studying it and taking a test, and they get a Microsoft certification, blah, 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 blah. And then when they go to interview, they don't ask them, tell me about your college experience, or tell me about your grades in college, or tell me about your degrees. They say, take this coding problem and solve it. Because that's what they're hiring you to do. They're hiring you to do a thing. They're not hiring you for you. They're hiring you for what you can do. And if college doesn't give you that, you need to look carefully.
Absolutely. Kind of segueing from that into what I want to ask next and go into, one thing college did do for me. So I'm first gen. I'm the first one in my family to get.
Me too.
Really? Oh, wow.
Yep. There we go.
Yeah. So I'm first gen. I grew up middle class, but like my parents were super poor. Like they didn't have anything, literally. And so they were kind of like going, into their careers and stuff, really hardworking people. My parents are the most hardworking people I know, taught me work ethic. But anyhow, so they didn't like teach us a lot of things because they didn't know a lot of things. Right. You know what I mean? Like we were all learning together, and they're the best people I know. But all that to say, like going to college for me gave me a lot of, first of all, confidence. It taught me process, which I want to talk to you about, like how to manage my time. I met a lot of amazing people through that. I met you, Judge, like so many awesome connections. So I do think in those terms, it taught me how to like manage myself in life and like work opportunities and things in that sort of manner. And I do think if you take that away from college, that's something worth value.
Oh,
because it'll set you up for your whole life and how you delegate yourself.
But that that is partly knowing yourself, knowing what your weak spots are, knowing where you have to work. And of course, time management is crucial for any successful person knows how to manage their time. And so you've got to be able to do that. I'm not saying college is not useful if you apply yourself to it.
Keyword, apply.
If it's a job that you're going to succeed at, then you will develop some useful skills that are useful across the board. I often talk to truants in my job as a judge, and I tell them, the process of being where you're supposed to be at a certain time with certain things accomplished, ready to do the next thing, that is a skill.
Yeah.
That,
absolutely.
I mean, it's like, okay, we're going to teach you to stack paper clips today. Well, nobody wants to hire you to stack paper clips, but people do want to hire you to be there on time and follow a process that they derive or give to you, and then you're able to have the self-discipline to stick with it.
Absolutely.
And that's going to bear some fruit.
And I think we live in a generation where everything is like instant gratification, and that is, I think, what is killing us, what is causing depression, what is causing mental illness, is because God didn't make us to have instant gratification. He made us to be in process. Look at the people in the Bible. Like, nothing was instant. And I think even when it comes to careers and opportunities, it's like we have to start somewhere. And I had a situation happen yesterday. I won't get into it. And it wasn't a huge deal, but it's like, when you're doing a job and your boss, or they're communicating with you to do something, you need to communicate back, and that's how you elevate. That's how you grow. And I don't think we have those skills anymore because we're on TikTok all day.
Well, yeah, the social media. Your phone is not your friend.
It's not. Use it for work. Use it to make money.
Use it. Use it to do your banking. Use it to do your required communications, because communication back and forth is very important. I was going to just go to the Bible and talk about the first process that was described in the Bible. And that was when God expelled Adam and Eve from the garden. He said, Adam, you're going to earn your bread by the sweat of your brow. Okay? Well, he was describing a process. And that process was not a condemnation. That process was, I know that you're fallen now. And I know that if I keep you in the garden in all this abundance where everything is given to you, that you will just fall farther into your sin. So I'm going to give you this process of work to help you be the person that you're supposed to be and keep you out of trouble.
He gave him parameters, and I think that's what God even gives us, like when he gives us commands, like, do not have sex before marriage, because it's going to hurt you in the end. You're going to have soul ties. And I think it all goes back to those boundaries. And I never connected that about the garden and him protecting him by taking him out. Wow. Profound. But yeah, I think about it in terms of like the commands, like do not covet,
Right.
People that covet aren't very happy people.
Because it's bad for you.
Literally, it's bad for you.
Yeah. So, but let's go. Let's keep rolling on with our topic.
Yes, sir. Let's talk about, and we're talking about jobs. We're talking about time management process. Can we talk a little bit about presentation? Like, if you want to be successful, how should we present ourselves?
There used to be a phrase called "dress for success." Okay, and I'm pretty academic, but I love working. I work at my ranch and I work around the house and I help people with stuff sometimes. But I always dress for the job. What job am I going to do? Okay, I'm working on the sprinkler system up at my land. I'm going to wear shorts and a T-shirt, and I'm going to bring an old pair of crappy tennis shoes because they're going to get muddy because I'm working on the sprinkler. But I'm going to bring a pair of jeans or other long pants, because because I'm going to change, and I'm going to bring a clean pair of shoes, and I'm going to bring another shirt. Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's focusing on what am I doing today? Well, Nobody looks at me when I'm up there because I'm pretty much alone.
Yeah.
But if I'm going to go into the little town that's close by to get lunch, I change because I have some self-respect. I guess is one
And you
way to say
respect
it.
your fellow man.
And respect the people around
Yeah.
you. But it's been my experience that people will show up and they don't respect themselves. We did a lot of Zoom hearings during COVID.
Oh my gosh.
And do you know what shirt is called a wife beater? You know, a T-shirt
Yeah,
that's got the, and this guy's, and he's got his phone on his belly, and it was terrible. And I thought, you are in court, even if you're on the phone. I knew some attorneys. I have a close buddy who's I went to law school with, and he took a picture of himself at his desk wearing his suit jacket and tie, and he looked nice. And then he stood up and he was in boxer shorts because he said, "I'm in Zoom court today."
Yeah, no one's going to see him.
So you're presenting. How are you presenting yourself? And some people, I'm going to segue into a peeve. Some people believe that authenticity is the most important thing. And I don't know if you probably have seen, maybe someone in the audience has seen the Charlie Brown. It's the Great Pumpkin, Charlie Brown.
Oh my gosh, I love that one.
And Linus looks up. I think it's Linus. He says, "Nothing but authenticity as far as you can see," and he's pointing at all the pumpkins. Okay, but we have an authenticity problem in America, and that is we think we're supposed to be authentic. That's wrong.
Why?
Because we're fallen, and we're not we're not angels. We're not saints. We're saints inside we're saints and sinners in the same body. Okay, and authenticity. Well, then sometimes I'm a saint and sometimes I'm a sinner, and that's just the way I felt today. I'm being authentic. Ooh, that's a pretty woman. I'm sure looking at her with thoughts in my mind. I'm being authentic. No.
Yeah.
I'm really upset. I think I'll scream at that person and pull my gun because that's the most authentic feeling I'm having right now. No, we're not doing that. It's just like the 5-year-old kid who's not really 5 yet. He's got a lot of. He likes to roll on the floor and grab other people's toys and chew the whatever toy he's got. That's the authentic him. Should his mom tell him to go to school and be yourself, or should she tell him to go to school and be good? Right?
Yeah.
So dressing properly for your job or for the presentation you want to make is the equivalent of being good. Be good. Look like the person that you're becoming. Look like the person that you want them to think you are. That's not exercising in a con game.
Yeah.
Okay? That's being part of society that is trying to hold up society.
Yeah.
Hey, everybody come to work wearing whatever the heck you want. No. No.
Unfortunately, that's what we're heading. And I even think, all the styles. I love style. I love fashion. It's one of my passions. But I mean, when you're going to work, you're going to school. You gotta respect the facility you're entering. Like when you go into court, you have to wear, black pants, slacks. You want people to also respect you. It's like, my first inclination, if I see someone in pajama pants at school, I'm going to be like, are you?
I have a law school classmate who showed up for class in pajamas.
Yeah, that's beyond ridiculous.
It's just
Did
ridiculous.
the professor say anything?
Nope. Just more, I'm gonna grade you based on your exam. But it was just fundamentally unserious. And I thought law school was serious. When I went to law school, I wasn't dressed in a coat and tie because I wasn't an attorney, I have low quarter work boots on, and I wore jeans and a collared shirt with a pocket because I need a pocket for my pen, right? So I was wearing a clothes fit for the occasion. Okay,
Love that.
And that's what everybody should do. How should you dress? If you're going to a really, really nice, super nice place, you kind of need a pretty nice, you might not be wearing a tie because that's not the fashion, but you might need a really nice jacket.
Yeah.
And
my family knows this. Like, they're probably watching too. I love them. But every time they come to visit me or like we do a vacation together, my mom literally goes shopping because she's like, I know you'll hate this. And I'll tell my family, like, I don't want to be seen with you looking like that. Like, you need to go change, or like we reorient what we're going to wear. And obviously we don't need to put too much emphasis on it, but it's the people's first presentation of what they think of you. It's like, we got to lock in.
Play up.
Yeah, play up. All right, let's move on. Really switching gears, can we talk about building credit? That's a huge thing right now.
Yes. We talked a little bit about, the debt that you would assume if you took student loans or something like that. But debt and credit are crucial indicators for you. And credit is really the question, who would trust you enough to loan you money? And the answer is they're going to look at your credit score. And if you don't have any credit, it's really hard to get credit. So I'm going to tell you something, and this is a success story that my grandson just achieved.
I was going to ask you to talk about that. Yes.
Well, he's 23, and 8 months ago he said, what do I do to build my credit? And I said, get a card. Get a card with a low limit. And then put all your gas on that card and pay that off every month. No carried balance, ever. And then after 6 months, ask them for a credit line increase, and you'll get the increase. Well, he did that, and him and his fiance just got approved for a home mortgage loan yesterday.
Oh, you didn't tell me. Oh, okay, because it just happened. Oh my gosh, congrats!
So they're buying a little house in
What's
Watauga.
His name?
Levi.
Congrats, Levi. Oh,
yeah,
that's
he's
so
very
awesome.
proud of him. And his fiance's name is
Kayla.
So anyway, good show, Levi and Kayla.
You kept. That's the way you would remember my name, but you kept calling me Michaela.
I know it's wrong. It's wrong. But once you have the pathway engraved in your mind, it's hard to change.
It's okay.
That's why you want to be relatively focused when you're young, because you're engraving your mind with these things. You're engraving your soul with these things. Wow. And so you gotta play up, and you gotta think of the consequences and think down the road. Yep, you're 20. You don't really need credit. You're paying with everything for the money that you earned waiting tables or working at Home Depot or wherever you work. That's great. But you're going to want to buy a house someday. You're going to want to buy a car someday. Unless you're a super cash-only guy, which is hard to do buying a house, you're going to need some credit. So
absolutely,
the wise use of credit. Credit is a tool. It's like fire, It's a great servant and a terrible master. So if you're serving your credit card with a minimum payment every month, you're on the road to failing to make a credit card payment and having a lawsuit filed against you for a debt claim and blah blah blah.
Then you're going to meet Judge Brandt.
Yeah, and we don't want to meet that way.
Oh my gosh, yes, great. Can you talk about how like debt could actually not be like a burden? Is that kind of go into that?
Debt. Here's an example. I'm going to go out and I'm going to get a 7% mortgage on a home that I'm going to live in, and I'm going to the mortgage is I put $30,000-$40,000 down, and the mortgage is $200,000. Okay,
that's great.
So I'm $200,000 in debt. Okay, but every month I'm saving the money I would spend on an apartment. So that's a bit of a payoff.
Yeah.
And I'm building equity. And I can probably, I think, deduct the mortgage interest on this property. Okay. Used to, you could deduct it all.
Yeah.
I think you could deduct all that. I'm not a tax guy, so I don't know the answer. But
Your CPA could tell you that.
But the bottom line is that I would consider a home, unless it was a super monster home that you couldn't afford, it's actually a performing asset. It's generating a place for you to live, okay? And the cost of a place for you to live would have been the rent that's completely gone. Once you pay it, you get to live there for a month. Now you got to pay it again.
Yeah.
A home, you're building equity, okay, and part of the mortgage interest is a tax deduction. So I'm not positive about that. Consult your tax professional, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
But that's kind of a performing asset. Other things, debt. If you were to go into debt to buy a business, and the business is generating an income, then that's a performing asset. Okay.
Just make sure that's not your main source of income.
Right. Well, it depends.
Really?
It
Okay.
depends. A lot of people go into debt to buy a business, but that's been evaluated, and that will come after. Let's say you're a apprentice HVAC guy, and now you're a journeyman HVAC guy, and then you're a master, okay, or a master electrician or a master plumber. You're the guru now, and you want to start your own business, but starting from scratch is hard. But your boss is going to retire, and he's going to sell you his business.
Oh, wow.
And that happens all the time. And there's some negotiation of how that sale's going to work. But you might go into a little debt to do that because you know that's a performing business. I know this business. I know what I'm doing. So now the debt is not a bad thing. It's a good thing because it gets you the business and it gets him payments and blah, blah, blah.
Absolutely. That's good. I actually didn't think of it that way, but that's a great scenario.
If you're buying Twinkies and soda and gum on your credit card, that's not a performing asset. And if you can't pay that off at the end of the month, I don't recommend the Twinkies at all. Depends on the soda. I drink Diet Coke, so I can't rail again.
Diet Dr. Pepper.
I drink Diet Dr. Pepper. Diet Coke in an emergency.
What about Coke Zero?
But never Diet Pepsi.
Okay.
If I drink Coke Zero's okay. Okay. But anyway, don't buy junk on credit. Don't buy anything on credit unless you can pay it off at the end of the month. And just be wise about actually going into debt because debt is a crippler and debt impedes your future. The money that you could have saved to buy that business, you're servicing a debt because you bought the Twinkies.
Yeah.
And that's not going to work.
Absolutely. So to sum up kind of that point, like you would say debt would be an asset if you know it's going to be successful. Like if you're in a trade.
If it's going to produce,
if it's going to
produce an income.
Or property. Property is always,
well,
in most cases.
For the last 50 years, well, I'd say 50 years. There was a downturn in the 70s. There was a downturn in the 80s too when property values went down.
But they always come back up.
But they will come back
wait
up.
it out.
But can you hold it long enough to wait it out? See, those are decisions. Those are prudential decisions that you've got to make. Can I pay this mortgage even though this property isn't performing? Can I pay this mortgage? I'm not talking about your house. I'm talking about an investment property.
My dad, like 6 or 7 years back, he bought this property and he didn't wait it out, right? And he sold it and he still made good equity on it. He made good money. But if he would have waited like one more year, he would have made like 20K more. But that's crushed him.
But that's a rule. Pigs get fat, hogs get slaughtered. So don't be a hog.
Yeah.
If you're investing for a gain and you get the gain or what you think is the right gain, it's okay.
Yeah.
You can get out and get into something else.
Absolutely. But I would say that's a safe bet, though, property and businesses.
That's pretty safe.
Yeah, safe bet.
What's next?
Alrighty. Can you talk a little bit about like not waiting for the perfect moment, like going for it? Just
Well,
like if you know you want to do something, you push me to do that. Can I talk about that a little bit?
Sure.
So when I first came in to intern with Judge, we were sitting here and we were talking, and he's like, "What are your goals? Like, why do you want to intern here?" And I told him like, I want to be an attorney. And I was like, I'm going to take a gap year after college. And you were like, why? Why are you going to take a gap year? You were like, just take your LSAT. Why are you waiting? And so that night, I literally signed up for the LSAT, and I'm like, he's right. And 3 months later, I took it and just went for it. So kind of go for it.
Fear is a paralyzing emotion. Mm-hmm. And I'm not saying you were afraid, but
there was some fear,
but
definitely.
Most young people, I mean, look into the future and see your life. Oh, it's very hard to see. Because it's in the future, and it's unknown, and you don't know what economic crash is going to happen, what car crash is going to happen, what person you're going to meet, when your parent's going to have a terrible illness, which I hope none of those things happen.
Yeah.
But the world happens, life happens. And so if you kind of leap into your life, not foolishly, not into a bunch of debt, but prudentially, you prepared yourself in high school, or maybe you goofed off in high school and you need to take a year to get your ducks in a row, and you need to work hard for a year and then make a decision. Or maybe you're going to do something. I have a number of young friends. One of them's joining the Marine Corps, one of them's joining the Air Force, the other one's joining the Army. Okay, go for it. Mm-hmm. Are you ready? Well, no, you're not ready.
You never are.
You're never ready.
Yeah.
You better make your mind ready. Mm-hmm. And if your mind's ready for the challenge, then you're likely to meet the challenge. Mm-hmm. If you stay on your couch, you stay in the bed, I'm just going to work in this little job over here for a year. Well, what's magic about a year? Why don't you do it for 2 years or 3 years or all of a sudden you've missed a year. Remember what I said about time is an asset for young people. Spend it wisely, right?
Absolutely. You never get it back.
You're never going to get that moment back. You're never going to have.
It's the most valuable thing on this planet.
Yeah, I got to go to the Air Force Academy right out of high school. Mm-hmm. It was the most valuable moments of my life. And if I hadn't done that, I wouldn't have met Susan. Mm. So it just
set you up.
Set me up for life.
And I think that's what your 20s are. Like, I'm 24. I just graduated college. I took 2 gap years in between going to college. I went to Bible school, and then I just took a year to work. But these fundamental years of now I'm in my mid-20s, I'm like, wow, I can't imagine not doing that. Like, if I didn't go here or go where God was calling me, then I wouldn't be where I am right now, you know?
Right.
And so it sets you up for your future. And I think that's why a lot of people I know, unfortunately, like, they haven't done anything since high school. Nothing.
Right.
They've just like, oh, I'm going to go work. And then they're in the same place where I saw them at 17 years old. And it makes me so sad.
Well, goals and goal setting are a key element of this enterprise of being young. Set a goal, achieve a goal. The act of setting and the act of achieving goals are very valuable, even if that goal isn't exactly the right goal. That's why I'm saying go for it.
Just go for it.
Figure out your goal. If you can't figure out the perfect goal, figure out a goal and start going down the path. You can refine your goal as you get down there, as you get further down
God
the road.
will, like it says in Proverbs
and
16:9.
The world will open up and reveal itself to you, and he will shape your path.
Absolutely. I love Proverbs 16:9. It says that man makes plans, but God directs their steps.
Yes.
And that's what God will do. Like, you can have your plans, and I don't think God's mad at our plans, but ultimately, if we're righteous and we're submitted to him, he will direct it and direct our steps, and it'll be better than we could think, dream, or imagine. Ephesians 3:20. So
I pray for God to guide my steps because I want to step in the path that he wants for me. And I've made some paths, I've figured out some paths, but ultimately your act of doing that is beneficial, even if it's not exactly the right path.
Absolutely.
Because objects in motion tend to stay in motion, and objects at rest tend to stay at rest. And people who are stuck in the high school job that they got right out of high school that's not really going anywhere, they're stuck.
Yeah,
and to get unstuck takes something. So,
but then I think that's why it's so important that in your 20s you go to school or be a plumber or create confidence, because I didn't feel competent at 17 years old. I was a teenager, but now at 24 I'm like, oh wow, like I pay my own bills, I pay my own rent, like I'm starting to feel more competent. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So I think all of those things build trust in yourself. Like, you know, you start to trust yourself, trust your judgment. Oh, maybe I should buy that company, or make what are those accounts where that create interest that you were talking about?
Well, you know, there are a variety of investment vehicles.
Yeah.
We're not going to talk about that.
Yeah, we don't have time for that. But I think a lot of that, like being in that age right now, like I feel so much more confident having graduated college, having done a bunch of little jobs, you know, and it's okay you'll have seasons where you scrub the toilet and you're doing things that are stepping stones to get you where you want to be.
Right.
So, yeah. Well, can we just kind of wrap up that pushing yourself segment? What are some last thoughts?
The most important thing a young person can do is set goals, figure out what your own motivational things are. I don't have to beat myself up to motivate myself much anymore, but I have a bunch of things that motivate me. One of those is my children and grandchildren. I'm not gonna be that guy. They're not gonna have to look at their grandpa going, "Oh, he did that." Okay, they're gonna say, my son says, "Dad, you're a titan." You're a titan. Nobody has as many skins on the wall as you do, but that's so important to me. I want my children to think that I'm a good man who led in the right way. Legacy. But yes, a legacy. But I also have 800 Air Force Academy classmates that will. Well, this is a joke, but this is the Air Force Academy ring. I'm entitled to wear the Texas A&M ring. Yeah, I always wonder why you don't wear it. Well, I wear it because my academy classmates will beat me up if I don't wear this ring and wear the other ring. This formed me, and it was important to me, and I'm not going to besmirch my classmates by doing something wrong. I'm going to do my duty. I don't care what it takes. And of course, Susan is a big motivation to me. I'm gonna take good health care of myself so I can be around with her as long as I can to take care of her. So that's motivational. Sweet. But all of the young people don't have those motivations. You've got to figure out what your motivation is. What are you going to use to motivate you? Are you motivated by money? Are you motivated by yelling at yourself? Are you motivated by what other people think? Figure out a motivational strategy. Of course, you should. The biggest motivational strategy should be, God loves me and I have a purpose, so I'm gonna fulfill my purpose. That's a big motivational strategy. Yeah. But motivation is key to success. Why would you make anybody else in charge of the key to your success? You are in charge of the key to your success, and the key to your success is your own ability to motivate yourself. Yeah. So motivate yourself, and if you don't know how to do it, figure that out. So set goals, motivate yourself, measure your path toward the goal, encourage yourself, motivate yourself, reset a goal, motivate yourself, evaluate your progress on the path to your goal. Just keep doing that. Just do it. Motion. And it is addictive. Success is addictive. Judge is a workaholic. You will like winning. Well, you love to work, Judge. We all tell all of the people in the office are like, he doesn't need to be here right now. And I'm just like, why? You love to work. Well, it's awesome. There's an element here that is it's useful and it helps people. And I think I'm supposed to be here and I'm supposed to be useful. and helpful.
But you like, there's some gaps like where I feel like most people would just be like, all right, I'm gonna take the day off, or you know what I mean. But like, you always show up, like you're always here, and I think that's so. Like, I aspire to be that way, because that's having integrity, doing the right thing when no one else is looking.
Well,
and I think that's a part of the process we're talking about too, is having integrity.
Well, if you follow those steps and you're honest with yourself, you will develop some integrity, because when you evaluate your progress along the path, sometimes you didn't make that good of progress, and you got to say, Bill, that is unsat. That is not right. You're going to straighten up. You're going to straighten up. What do you do? You're letting yourself down.
Would you say like you're a perfectionist?
Absolutely not.
No?
Absolutely not. I used to be. When I was young, I thought if I did it perfect, then I'll be perfect. Okay? Well, that's not true, and it was never done perfect. The world is imperfect. What I want to do is make it that much better. And I want to I'd like to make myself that much better every day. But what is the biggest asset young people have? Time. So they have time to do incremental improvement over time, and it's going to be huge. Yeah. It's going to be life-changing.
Absolutely. Wow. I love that. Love it. So good. Alrighty. So can I ask a few questions from last episode?
Let's go to last episode.
All right. We're going to go to last episode: rights, privacy, and the internet. All right. So can employers check my social media before hiring me?
Absolutely. You put it up there. You said, look at me on spring break. I'm drunk off and I'm half naked.
Yeah.
And look at me.
Gosh.
Well, you yelled, look at me to the employer, and they're hiring you. So why don't they look at you and check, I'm not sure you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's fair.
Keep it classy.
It's absolutely fair.
Alrighty. Yes, that happens a lot too. If I delete something online, could it still be used in court? I've seen this happen.
Yes. The fact that it was online on a certain date and somebody took a screenshot of it.
Could it still be used?
You bet it can. Okay.
Remember that one case with the pet store, and remember she had like a therapist with her?
Yeah, that was terrible.
But remember how like she deleted it, and then they didn't screenshot it, so they couldn't use it. Remember that?
That's correct. Well,
yeah, so in that instance,
that becomes an evidentiary matter. Okay. So what is evidence? Well, it's testimony, but it's a lot better if you've got some documents. So that becomes how much do I weigh your testimony versus their testimony? Now, the fact that they said we deleted it actually kind of confirms that it existed at one time. But exactly what it was, we couldn't figure that out because they didn't have a screenshot of it. They didn't have evidence.
So make sure if you're going to do that, screenshot everything.
Well, if you're going to put something on the internet, don't do it. But if somebody else puts something on the internet that you want to use, then it's valuable for you. Protect things that are valuable for you.
That's the issue I had with that court case, is like they didn't screenshot any of it.
No.
And they got away with it because they didn't have the receipts.
Well, it was all, we're emotional and we're going to get even and we're going to file a lawsuit. But we're not going to do any planning. We're not going to take any steps.
Yeah.
So.
Absolutely. Okay. When should I start caring about my digital footprint?
When you're first given a phone.
How do you think, when we have children, there was no such thing as this when till I was like 12 or 13. So like when we're raising our children, how should we plan that? That's one of those parental things of when should this child have a phone? And the answer is, where do they go to school? How far is it away? Do you have a good relationship with the staff? Blah, 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 blah. If it was me, I would ban phones in school.
If you have a phone, you're walking through a metal detector, put the phone in the locker, and the school locks it up. You don't get to get it, because I think phones are a massive distraction in school. But as far as when should the child have the phone, parental decision, we're just going to leave that with the parents. What should the parents do in terms of parental controls? A bunch, you know. No, you know, they need to have there are various virtual private networks. They're called VPNs, and you can get a virtual private network that shields you from internet service providers tracking you. Okay.
Oh wow.
Okay.
I didn't know that.
And so you can get that, and you can install it on your phone. You can also tell it to limit this browsing to relatively innocuous sites. So that'll keep the phone from going on something. Now, it won't keep your child from taking a picture of themselves and sending it to a classmate.
Yeah.
And that's just a horrible mistake.
Absolutely. Wow. Oh, I'm not ready to raise kids in this generation. It's scary. But yeah, those were our questions from last video. Is there anything else you want to touch on just to wrap up our series?
I've really enjoyed doing this with you, Kayla, and I really appreciate Luke and Ryan for their technical proficiency. And if you like this and you'd like to see some more, please send us please send some comments in any of the videos, because we can do more topics. Young people, I'm going to tell you that the opportunities that you have today are the biggest opportunities in the history of the world. And that's because you will benefit from a huge manufacturing boom over the next 15, 20 years. You will benefit from a huge building boom of these new factories. And you will benefit from all the availability of the technology that's been produced. And I think we're going to have more technological innovation. I think we're entering a period of wise abundance. But the wisdom's going to have to come from you. And I believe you're capable of doing it. I'm 70 years old. I'm in the middle of the baby boomers. The baby boomers are not the problem, because we're leaving. And so you've got to seize this opportunity and do your best to have your best life and fulfill your purpose. And I congratulate all the graduates of 2025, college and high school, and I give you my very best wishes for your future, because your future is the future of the United States of America. God bless you all. God bless you, Kayla.
Thank you, Judge. This was wonderful.
All right.
All right. Thanks.